Cars in Coconut Mall move now. The game is saved. What's going on, guys? Thomas here. Wave 2 just dropped for the Mario Kart 8 Deluxe Booster Pass, and these are the shortcuts you need to know. Let's start off with Mushroom Gorge. This track has some of the coolest shortcuts in not just this wave, but the entire Mario Kart 8 Deluxe track roster. Let's start off with the mushroom shortcut right at the start of the course. Of course, you can use a boost mushroom to get onto these mushrooms. It's kind of mushroomception here. But if you time it just right, you can drift hop over the little grass part and still maintain enough momentum to trick off both the mushrooms and land safely on this wooden bridge, cutting off a significant chunk of the lap. Like that whole turn you kind of just cut off. Now this is critical, not just because, well, it's cool and fun to do, but it means that in time trials, or I guess in normal races if you have a mushroom, you are able to save that mushroom for what comes later on, the gap cut. So when trying the gap cut, a lot of times you're not gonna make it. And a lot of times you're also probably gonna make it, but it's gonna look like this, because if you clip this section of the green grass, unfortunately it just sends your car flying, as you can see. Now never fear, because in 150cc with only one mushroom, it is still possible to pull off a clean gap cut relatively consistently. I'm gonna play it for you once, then explain what I did in slow motion. Alright, so I'm going to use these coins as a lineup. Try and drift to hit these two middle coins. Then I actually used my mushroom as soon as I hit this first coin, let go of my mini turbo as soon as I touched the grass, and then immediately tapped the drift button to get a boost, or a little hop if you will, off the grass. Then as long as you land on the second half of the green grass, your car won't get sent off into outer space, and you should be able to continue the lap relatively cleanly. That's why it's so important to save your time trial mushrooms earlier with that no item shortcut, because this one saves a behemoth amount of time. That's pretty much it for Mushroom Gorge. Let's move on to Snowland. So the first shortcut on Snowland is this one, right by the turn that leads you onto the ice. You'll see a little snowman. You could try and mushroom before the snowman, but that might end you up out of bounds. Instead, you either take a very tight line or just mushroom right after the snowman and you should be all set. Then obviously you have this shortcut right here in between the red and the blue like barricades. This shortcut's very similar to one we'll be covering later in the video too. But then last but not least, you have this little snow ramp. You can technically do it obviously without a mushroom, but that's clearly, you know, that's not what's intended. Also definitely just slower. Also just an unfortunate scenario, these two dancing penguins that are back here, you can't go visit them. All right, moving on to Sydney Sprint. This is probably my favorite course out of the entire Wave 2 Booster Course Pass, and a lot of that is for the shortcuts. Once you get to lap 2, oh man, there are a bunch of corners to cut. After you exit the ferry, you'll start doing all these sort of turns along these grass, sections with these stone pillars. You can see what I did here, or just make up your own lines. Just know that saving your mushrooms for lap 2 is pretty much essential, as these are the best corners to cut in the track. They're so much fun too, man. You can even cut this corner at the end of lap 2 as you head to the Sydney Opera House, but just be careful to not miss the entire glider like I did here. One more thing you might want to know is that for laps 2 and 3, at the end, you're actually going the opposite way of when you started in lap 1. So that little fountain shortcut that you see right at the start of the race, but you probably can't really do anything with because you don't have a mushroom at the start of the race unless you're playing time trials, that is actually going to be at the end. So a lot of times in lap 3, I could see someone with a mushroom, getting a last second first place finish as they cut this corner in between the fountain and the wall. Moving on to Sky High Sunday, the brand new track to Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. This one, honestly, I'm just gonna keep it a buck. It's kind of disappointing. I mean, look at the track layout. It's like Excite Bike Arena if Excite Bike Arena had diabetes. Moving on though, something I didn't know and wasn't present in the trailer is that these orange line things actually act as little boost, like things that you hit in anti-gravity. I'm sorry, I don't know what these are called, but there are these little like poles that stick up in anti-gravity sections where if you bump into them, it'll be the same as if you bump into another person, aka it'll give you a little boost. These yellow orange railings definitely act as that, so you can bump into them and not be worried about it slowing you down. In fact, it'll actually speed you up. Besides that, just make sure you're tricking off of almost everything. And then once you get to this part with the little wafers that you're driving on, you can technically go below here. So as you can see, I went super slow and then you go down beneath. This really isn't helpful at all because you have to go super slow and brake a bunch right before you get down there, but it is a path. So, I mean, if the top is super hectic, I guess you could do this. All right, now let's move on to the Turnip Cup and start it off with New York Minute. So this is pretty interesting. Obviously, basically, when you start off, you kind of go through this Central Park-esque area, and you can take a mushroom cut here, but don't take it too sharp, aka in between this tree and the wall, because apparently that is out of bounds. Anyway, the main shortcut here on New York Minute is right after you pass under this tunnel or bridge. Take a hard right instead of going all the way to where the arrow is. You might need to use a mushroom, but you can, cut this entire section. This part leads off to 2 laps. If you want to use the glider, make sure to stick to the left, but that can be pretty difficult if you just did the shortcut. You can cut through here with a mushroom, obviously passing the bench, and then on the 3rd lap, once again, you get to use the shortcut. All right, Mario Circuit 3, this one is just cutting corners. That's all this track is. If you have mushrooms, cut the corners. If not, just hug the lines, make it as tight as you can. Like, there's really not much you can say about this track. Right at the end, there's this shortcut, which is oddly similar to the one we just covered, obviously in Snowland, but it's here, so you can do it again, I guess. All right, Calamari Desert, this one is really interesting. So right at the start, there is a glider path off to the left, although it's pretty hidden. You can't really see it through this mountain, and since this first turn is so wide, it can be pretty difficult to know when to start drifting and mushrooming into the off-road to actually get to the glider path. Like you can see here, it's pretty simple to miss. Luckily for you all, there's an easy way to do it, which I'll explain right now. You see this little rock, or 2 rocks, I guess, that are on the road? Well, they can't hurt you if you go over them, but they act as a perfect indicator as to when to start hard drifting into the sand and mushroom up to the glider cut. Then once you make that glider, you can almost make it to this next glider, which allows you to cut off a pretty significant portion of the track. Obviously, you can do this mushroom thing here to just cut off another corner, but you might not want to do that. For lap 2, you can take the train path, so you don't have to go over this Mario Kart Tour trick-esque ramp, or obviously you can go on the main path and do the ramp, but just watch out because if the train's coming and you do the ramp, there's not too much you can do. Heading into the tunnel for lap 3, just again, hug the sides, watch out for the trains. You can go on either path here, either the train tracks or the actual course itself. I would recommend probably playing it safe and going on the course itself, because this is lap 3, and if, there's 2 people going on the train track and you're playing a lighter character than the other one, they might knock you off into the, sand, and that pretty much ruins your chances at first. Last but not least, Waluigi Pinball. I'm gonna be honest, there are pretty much no shortcuts in this track. There's 2, pieces of information I'd want to mention, but yeah, pretty much no shortcuts. First thing I want to mention is in time trials, I would use your mushroom right away just to get you up to max speed, because again, there's no corners you can cut, nothing like that, so you might as well just use it right away. And then the second thing I want to mention is that these flippers here that electrocute you and kill you, you could actually go around them, as you see here, and there's not 1, 2, 3, 4, but 5 coins around there. So if you are strapped for cash, going around to the side should give you more coins, and also probably no one will be over there because it is kind of out of the way, but hey, it gives you 5 coins. You just need to do that twice, and those are literally all the coins you need. Last thing I want to mention is, I mentioned at the start of this video, Coconut Mall cars, they move, they don't move in time trials. I just wanted to put that out there, so I guess it makes sense. I just want to let you guys know that. Also, I guess last thing, they also adjusted, there were patch notes for this update. They didn't just add the new tracks, they changed some things. Apparently item boxes spawn quicker now, so once you take an item box, they will respawn faster, meaning more items on the field, more chaos. A couple other smaller patch note things that aren't really worth reading. Those are all the shortcuts I want to let you know about, plus some of the patch note stuff, just so you can be as good as you can at this game. We got a lot more, and I mean a lot more, Wave 2 coverage coming up soon, so if you're enjoying this video, hit the subscribe button. If you made it this far, hit the like button. Let me know if I missed any shortcuts down in the comments below. With that out of the way, I'm Thomas from the Switch Stop, signing off. Peace.